Hello YouTube, good afternoon. It's been a while. So today I'm going to be doing a video about how to create a virtual machine on VirtualBox, install Ubuntu Server. I'm going to be using 21.04 for the version, and then to go ahead and set up a Minecraft server on it. So I figured I'd do a video because there was a few, hitches I encountered in the process, both of creating the Ubuntu virtual machine on VirtualBox and on creating and launching the actual Minecraft server. So I found the solution with some Googling and trial and error and stuff, but I figured I would just share my experiences. So this is the Minecraft server version 1.17, and I found that the default Java runtime environment that you install on Ubuntu server doesn't actually work with it. Also, I found initially in setting up the Ubuntu server, which is the command line only version, no GUI, that it doesn't really like to run with default settings on VirtualBox. So I'll go ahead and start with that. So we got VirtualBox open right here. And this is my instance of the Minecraft server that I did already set up and test. My boys were playing with it together. Both joined the world and played for a while and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine. So just pretend that these aren't there. Let's say Minecraft server 2. So it defaults to Linux Ubuntu, but that's what we're using. There's all these other choices that should kind of give you some default settings based on what it is, but it works well with the Ubuntu with the GUI, just the desktop version, but not so much the server. So let's go ahead and click next. Now I gave mine 8 gigs because my machine here's got 32, so I'll just go ahead and do that for the tutorial. If you've got less, you could probably get away with less, especially if you don't have too many people joining the server. So I'll just go ahead and give it 8. And then go ahead and give it the default 10 gigabytes. Hard drive VDI is fine. Dynamically allocated is fine. Minecraft server 2.vdi, so here's the size. I'll just leave it as 10. Go ahead and create it. Okay, so let's go into our settings. So the default settings here weren't quite working for me, so I'll go into advanced. None of these here on the general tab needed to be changed. Now, sometimes the shared clipboard and drag and drop are real handy. I believe, yeah, it needs the guest additions to be installed. There's probably a process you can do that with the command line. However, I didn't really bother with that. I'll explain a little more on that, as we get to that part. Now, under the System tab, I found that I had to change this chipset from PIIX3 to ICH9. Pointing device is USB tablet, that's fine. For processors, I went ahead and gave mine 4 just so it has plenty of room to process things. And I checked these features for the virtualization. Now, you do have to enable that in your BIOS or your UEFI setup. Of course, that'll vary based on your motherboard manufacturer or computer manufacturer if you've got a pre-built. So, keep that in mind. You'll have to turn those features on to get the most performance out of a VM, whether it's VirtualBox or another hypervisor. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. Next thing we need to do is go ahead and let me go back into settings and do that. For storage, you're going to choose the startup disk. So I'm using the 21.04, which I got from Canonical. The 20.04 is the long-term support. 21.04 may or may not have any actual improvements, but since it was out, I went ahead and used it. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And then I'll go a little bit through the setup process here. So we've got a virtual CD drive, which is that ISO image. We're going to go ahead and start it up. And let me see here. Let me see if I'm capturing this. I'm not. So let me go ahead and add that window capture here. Yeah. So we have this prompt. Sorry about that. It's a little funky with the window capture. I probably should have just used the full screen capture. But anyway, we just go ahead and click. No, don't click start. You got to select this other one because I did run one with 20.04. I set one up, but we'll go ahead and choose 21.04. Click start, and then cool. So we've got this starting up here. Let me go ahead and shrink that so you can kind of see it better. right. So we'll go ahead and launch the Ubuntu server. It goes through its thing. It gives us these little notifications about the auto keyboard and mouse pointer integration, so that's kind of helpful. Let's get this out of the way here. I'm gonna have to shrink it a little bit more. Okay, cool. So it does its thing. We're using English for the setup language here. English keyboard. Now, it'll give you, depending on what networking settings you have on VirtualBox. I'm on the 10.0.0.1 subnet here, but it wants 10.02.15. So let's go ahead and change that now. So under devices here, we're going to go, it's not showing me, but let's go to the network settings. And let's go ahead and switch this window capture over so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. So network settings, we have NAT, network address translation, is the default. So let's go ahead and change that to bridged adapter. And then hit OK. It's going to kind of reinitialize there. And it got an IP address from my router, my firewall router. So if you want to go ahead and leave it as a DHCP, that's fine. I would recommend go ahead and using a static though. So you hit enter on the ENP0S3 adapter. You go down here to edit IPv4, and then you hit space, and then go ahead and change it down to manual. Now for here, it's going to want CIDR notation. So if we have 10.0.0.0, that's basically telling it that you want something in that range. And then we give it the /24 is going to be the most common. That's basically if you're using that last portion of the IP address to choose from 1 to 254. Let me just show you the error message it'll give. So if I use 10.0.0.3/24, it's not going to like that because it's got host bits set. So that's why you just have to use the 0/24. And you'll see the address I'm going to go ahead and give it is 10.0.0.3. And then I'll give it my gateway 10.0.0.1, 10.0.0.1, and then local domain, which I've got a pfSense firewall and router set up here. So now we got 10.0.0.3. Let's go down to done. I don't need a proxy address for this case. Alternative mirror, I don't need that. We're going to use the entire disk, so you hit the tab key till you get down to done, hit enter, and then just kind of gives you a summary of the partitions it's going to be using. So go ahead and hit done again. Go down to continue. My name, I'll say John. Server's name is going to be Minecraft server 2. Username is going to be John. Password, I'll just put 1111. Just to make it easy. Now this I do recommend, the Open SSH server. So go ahead and hit that. You can import your keys if you have it set up that way from GitHub or Launchpad. I don't. I'll just use the password to log in. So I hit done. I don't need any of these other optional services yet. And then we pretty much just let it run through. So I find that the command line version of Ubuntu is really stable and doesn't use a whole lot of resources. So that's why I'm going with it, even though it's a little more fiddly with the configuration and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward through this part here. Let me hide myself. Okay, so now we've completed the initial installation here of Ubuntu Server 21.04 on VirtualBox. I'm going to reboot now. So it had some issues with failed unmounting the CD-ROM, so I'm just going to go over here to machine and then reset. It popped up asking if I was sure I wanted to reset it. That's all it did there. I didn't bother to show that window. So we got it starting back up here. And then it's gonna need, it did some security updates there at the end of the installation, but we're still gonna go ahead and get some updates from apt once we start up here. So remember how I said that the VirtualBox additions for the shared clipboard and drag and drop is a little trickier if you don't have the GUI set up? Well, that's where the SSH came in. So we got the SSH things up on the screen here. I will go ahead and launch Putty, which is an SSH client, and we'll be able to copy and paste these commands that I have over here in the notepad window. And that will be pretty helpful. So let's see. So we've got the end of this cloud init, which by the way, you can disable the cloud init. I'm not going to go too much into that. You can Google for how to disable cloud init. So I'm going to go to John1111. Okay, so now we're logged in. Cool. So let's go ahead and minimize this, and then I will hide this window capture. So we've got our, okay, let me get this out of the way, move this over. Let me go ahead and launch Putty, and then capture that window real quick. Putty, okay. Now, so this is Putty. So we're going to go 10.0.0.3, and now it's going to pop up a security alert. So let me go ahead and tweak this setting here so we can see the security alert. So that's what it looks like. Older versions of Putty looked a little different. You can just click accept. Now let me switch this back to the regular Putty window. So we're gonna, okay, so this is the prompt. Basically, we're logging into that virtual machine. So I'm just gonna enter it again, John1111. Now I'll go ahead and do my my updates and stuff like that. So let me make this slightly bigger so we can kind of see it. Sudo apt-get update 1111. So it's going to go ahead and download those. Okay, well, I guess it got the security updates pretty well. So just do sudo apt upgrade. It's going to want some things, not too many, not too bad. It's just speeding right on through there. So if you see on the notepad window that I've got over here, that's basically these this cheat sheet of links and commands and such. The top link is basically your minecraft.net link to download the server from them, and the second one, oh, okay, it's asking us which services it wants to restart. So I'll hit tab and enter. Okay, so the kernel seems to be up to date. That's good. So if you went to that that Minecraft page, you would get this link. If you copy and paste it into your clipboard, you can go ahead and do a wget. So let's see where we are. We're just in the home directory, so you can get to that by cd and then the tilde symbol. That's where we are. So we got nothing there. So we'll wget, and then you right click in the Putty window to paste. Now in their instructions, they actually have it as server tac, whichever version of the server it is, .jar. And that comes into play down there at that bottom command on my cheat sheet. So they have Java and then these commands and Minecraft server.1.17.jar, but when you actually download it, it's server.jar. So long story short, we'll change that command to server.jar, but I left it in there as the default because that's what Minecraft's got on there. So now that we've downloaded server.jar, we want to go ahead and install the default JRE, which is Java Runtime Environment. Yes. And then I found that with this 1.17, it doesn't actually like to run on the default JRE that's on the repository for Ubuntu Server. If you want to see the Java version, okay, it wants to restart some services. Okay, fine. So we can see the Java version here, which is 11.0.11 from April 20th of 2021. So I found on Reddit this command over here is to install the Open JDK 17, which is required. Actually, before I do that, let's go ahead, we'll tweak this command to just be server.jar, and then you can kind of see the error message that you'll get if you try to just run it with the default Java runtime environment. Okay, so it's basically this unsupported class version error. It's been compiled by a more recent version of the Java runtime. So that's where the Open JDK 17 comes into play. We'll go ahead and highlight that, paste it into our Putty window, hit enter for yes. It'll go ahead and install that. Let's move this over. Oops. Let's move this over. No, I don't want to move that over. Let's move this over. Yeah, let's move it up here. I'm just fiddling while it installs. Don't mind me. Again, with the services, it wants to restart. Okay, fine. So now we'll run our modified command to launch server.jar again. And it's going to go ahead and build the world and all that stuff. Oh, I forgot one more thing. So we failed to accept the EULA end user license agreement. So if we do an ls, we'll list what's in there. So we have a eula.txt. Let's use a text editor like Nano. Go ahead and open it up. So we have EULA equals false. Delete that and true. Now Nano, obviously there's no GUI, so we just have to hit Control O to save it, and then hit enter. And then we hit Control X to exit. Now there's other command line text editors you could use. They're different commands. I use Nano. That's what I'm used to. Now we'll go ahead and hit the up arrow twice, 3 times. Where is it? Okay. However many times it was to get to your command, or you can paste it in. Hit enter. Now that we've said EULA equals true, it's going to go ahead and launch the world and all that stuff. Now I believe there are some settings that you can change in, let's scroll up and see what the listing was of files here. Where was it? I think it's under server.properties if I'm not mistaken, but I've just left the default settings. Okay, so 17 seconds elapsed. It's done with the spawn area. And now you can go ahead and join based on that IP address. That's why I recommended to use the static IP so it won't change. You might want to go ahead and make a reservation on your router, firewall, whatever you're using, DHCP server, and keep it from having an IP address conflict with another machine if it tries to give out that address. But excuse me, that's pretty much it. You know, I can go ahead and close out of the Putty window now and go back. So basically, yeah, this is just our virtual machine running right in VirtualBox. Now, this is a different session. You know what? I don't know if it's still running now that I closed Putty. That's a good question. Let's see if we can see, what is it? Service systems, CTL show services, I believe. Okay, so here's our services that are running. Let's see if Minecraft server remained running. I don't think it did. Okay. So yeah, that's a thing. I just hit Control C to cancel out of that, by the way. That's something to keep in mind. You probably shouldn't launch it from Putty and then close out of Putty. So let's just go ahead and type that since we haven't set it up to copy and paste. X MNX 1024M, tac X MS 1024M, tac jar, server.jar, no GUI, and it'll just go ahead and let's see if it relaunches it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would recommend doing that. Just go ahead and type that command, or you could actually save it into a shell script and add that to your startup if you're going to be wanting to start this up when you start up the virtual machine every time. And speaking of which, you could actually add that to your Windows startup. That's a little bit outside the scope of the video, but you can just add a startup batch file to go ahead and run the VirtualBox manager and then tell it which virtual machine to run. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So we created a virtual machine on VirtualBox, installed Ubuntu Server 21.04, installed Minecraft server version 1.17, fixed the Java runtime environment issue, and then we launched it. I guess we could go ahead and join the server. Shoot, why not? I got Minecraft on here, so let me just go ahead and launch it. Hopefully my son's not using it on his computer on my Minecraft account. So let's go ahead and get rid of this window capture, and then I'll add a new window capture here for the Minecraft launcher. Well, okay, it's not really capturing much of anything. I clicked on play. I don't know why it's actually, oh, it has to download something. All right, don't mind me there. Okay, it's doing something. Oh, it's trying to start Minecraft. So let's edit this setting here and go to Minecraft. Okay, cool. There we are. And let's increase the volume of desktop audio. So now we got some audio here. Multiplayer and high pixel. This is one we were kind of messing with. So add server, server name, Minecraft server 10.0.0.3. Oops, not 3. Done. I think the siren song of Minecraft has attracted one of my kids here. Okay, so 0 out of 20. Let's join the server. Somebody's gonna pop their head in and see what I'm doing. Sonic ears. Oh, there's a piggy. Oh, he's falling down in a bottomless pit. Okay. Anyway, that's just showing you that it works. Oh, Lillian, don't come in the video, sweetie. You're not dressed. Oh, look, a cow. Let's go harvest the cow. Moo, moo, moo. Oh, angry mooing. Hurt. Cow hurts. Give me that beef. All right, leather. Oh, I've got leather. Okay. Yeah, I don't know much about Minecraft, guys. Let's escape from the window, close it out. Anyway, yeah, so that's how you do it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments on the video, let me know. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Bye.